Cost if you don't have. Okay, I'm gonna officially call the meeting to order and thank you, everybody who's here for showing up since we haven't had a meeting in several months. We do have a quorum. And I'm going to read this script or part of this script that is required. As a preliminary matter, I am Mary Ann Easley, Chair. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Abby?
Here.
Bob?
Here.
Aaron? You're here. Arlene?
Here.
Jude is here and I am here. Thank you. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative, which is Jericho.
In attendance,
Thank you.
as usual.
And we're not expecting any speakers today. So, good afternoon. This open meeting of the Council on Aging is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comments. For this meeting, the Council on Aging is convening by video conference via Zoom as well as in person. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. And I think. Oh, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking, and please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes for our secretary. Thank you. Okay, first thing is approval of the agenda, so I need somebody.
I will move it.
Thank you, Bob. And a second on approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Abby, a second. Thank you. Everybody, I have to go down this list. I'm sorry to do that many times during this meeting. So if you approve of the agenda, please say yes. Abby.
Aye.
Rocky's not here. Bob.
Yes.
Aaron. Aaron.
Yes, sorry, I'm on my phone. It's taking a little bit. I apologize.
Arlene.
Yes.
Jude. Jude.
Yes.
And Mary Ann, yes. Thank you, everybody. Next, business is approval of the minutes of our meeting in July. It's a long time ago. I myself am forgetting about that. But supposedly everyone has had a chance to see those minutes, and I wonder if somebody wants to move to approve them.
I'll move.
Thank you, Bob. A second?
I can second that.
Abby, thank you. Again, I'm gonna go down this list. If you approve of the minutes of July, please say yes. Abby,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Arlene,
Yes.
Jude,
Yes.
Mary Ann, yes.
I'm
Okay.
here also, but I have to recuse. I was not here in July. I'm in Laura's seat. I can't get all the way home to get on my computer.
I was wondering, because I thought Laura was out.
She is. I'm sitting in her chair.
Excellent.
Oh, okay, okay,
Thank you,
good.
Linda.
As far as official business goes, the first item of discussion is potentially changing the time of our meeting. It is a recommendation from administration, Erica Mooney, that we stick with the date of Wednesday because they can accommodate us. So, Linda is the one who has proposed doing this. And so Linda, I wonder if you want to make some comments about your suggestion to change the meeting time on the first Wednesday of each month.
Yeah, it wasn't the first Wednesday that was the problem. It's those of us who work in offices. 1:30, I can't go all the way home to get on my computer most of the time in the middle of the day when I'm in an office. So most of my meetings are not in the middle of the day. They're in later in the afternoon or first thing in the morning. So I was suggesting not the middle of the day. But whether it's 3 o'clock or whether it's 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. The only daytime one I have really, other than the harbor thing, is 10 o'clock for CPC on a Tuesday. So I don't know, maybe Jericho could speak to that. We have various odd meetings, but I can't be leaving where I am and trying to get all the way home to get on a computer at 1:30 and then go back to the office. So I was suggesting either we do it in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so we don't bite into Laura's regular work hours.
And on my end, since I don't mind it being outside of normal working hours, but Laura is a union employee, and so that has certain restrictions about when she can and cannot work. If
Right.
we to move it either to a 10 o'clock or to a 3 o'clock time, I can accommodate that. Both of us can accommodate that without much difficulty. If we were gonna go outside of regular working hours, it would only be me who would be regularly attending. Unless we work something out with Laura to shift hours.
Yeah, I'd rather not do it outside Laura's regular working hours, or even your working hours, though you're all over the place working all the
Yeah.
time. So that was my suggestion, either 10 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That way it doesn't chew up an entire day or preclude other people from joining who are still working regular hours. Otherwise, it's all of us who are over 60 or work from home or some other thing. I don't, and I am over 60.
So I'd like to hear other people weigh in on this. If we change the meeting time to either 10 a.m. or 3 p.m. What do people think about that?
I'm okay
I
with
like
afternoon. Yeah, okay. Sorry, are two of us talking?
Yeah,
Jude, why don't you go ahead and then Arlene?
I can wait. I like the 3 o'clock a lot. I think that's a perfect time, but 1:30 is a tough time, so I'm all for changing it.
I agree with Jude that the mornings I have a standing appointment on Wednesdays, but the 3 o'clock hour in the afternoon is flexible for me as well.
Okay, Erin, do you have an opinion about this?
Yeah, 10 o'clock is of course better for me, just kid wise, but I'm sure, I mean, it's once a month, so I'm sure my husband and I can figure something out. So if 3 o'clock is the change, I can make it work.
So you said 3 o'clock you can make work?
Yeah, I mean, 10 is more ideal, but just because I have children, but I think I should be able to make 3 work if that works for everyone else.
Okay. Abby?
I'm more of a 3 o'clock, especially during certain times of the year. 3 would work in better for me.
Bob?
Works for me.
3 o'clock works for me. I suggest we take a vote now.
so I'll make the motion, Madam Chair, that we change our meeting time on the first Wednesday of the month to 3 o'clock.
I second it.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go down the list. Say yes or no. Abby?
Yes.
Bob?
I go by Robert now, by the way.
Oh, sorry, I have you on here.
Yes.
I really apologize. Okay.
That's okay.
Erin,
Yes.
3 o'clock is okay with you. Arlene?
Yes.
Jude?
Yes.
Okay, and I say yes, so,
And I say yes also.
yeah, I forgot Linda because you weren't here in the beginning, okay.
Apparently I'm now under Linda and not Laura.
Yeah, I swapped you out. I think we have to have actual IDs on there. I remember seeing that in one of the
Yeah, you can't be anonymous kind of thing.
So it looks like 3 o'clock would work for everyone, or you could be made to work, for Erin as well. So, in that case, I'm gonna, ask the town to officially change the meeting time to the first Wednesday of each month at 3 p.m.
I am going to send Erica an email as we speak, asking to make that change, and it should be effective for the next, from now on, from next meeting on.
Perfect. The next agenda item is, the, election of officers, which we do on an annual basis at the direction of the town. So, I'm gonna start with, chair, then vice chair, then secretary.
I can
So-
cut to the chase, Madam Chair. I'd make a motion to keep the officers the same.
That's your motion?
Yep.
Does anyone want to second that or
I'll
make a
second
different?
that.
motion?
Were
Okay.
were you wanting to
Yeah, I was
continue in the
gonna-
chair position?
He has no choice.
I don't have a burning desire, but now that I have kind of the whole thing down cold, it doesn't take me that much time to do the preparation.
I didn't want us to all do the thing where everybody leans forward to volunteer and then.
If
steps
nobody else wants to do this, I'll let you know when I get too old and cranky.
Well,
So-
we're all gonna get too old and cranky at that point.
I guess we have a motion and there is a second of the
Mhm.
motion. So again, I'm gonna go down the list. Yes or no to keeping the officers as they currently are. Abby,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Arlene,
Yes.
Jude,
Yeah.
Linda,
Yes,
Mary Ann, aye. Okay, that was.
you're gonna be held captive until we are all not here.
As I told you, now that I have, once I get myself going in one direction, it's easier than figuring it all out. Don't make me buy a bus ticket with my cell phone, though. That's a different thing altogether. Tried that yesterday. Moving on to the next thing on the agenda is a discussion of this year's health fair. And I sent you all a proposal letter. I don't know if any of you attended the health fair and had any observations about it or opinions about it, but as a person who represented this body in preparing for it, it was disappointing in that the hospital seems to have a different agenda than we have, and that's fine. And so the health fair was really not robust enough, I didn't think, for seniors. We weren't really doing enough to attract seniors and keep them interested and show them what's available to them. So going forward, I would like to suggest that we have an amicable divorce from the hospital, that we notify them early and let them know that we're gonna go back out on our own and they can do what they want with the health fair. And I suggest that we invite them to participate the way we used to do it, which is them having a table or two tables or however they want to participate. But I think there's so much more for seniors than just health issues. So I would like to hear other people's opinions, and the one caveat I have is it's gonna be some work for us, because in the past, Laura did all the work. And I'd like to not put that kind of pressure on her again. I think that we'd each have to volunteer to do some portion of it. So I'm gonna open this up to Linda.
Marianne, could you just describe briefly what the past health fairs looked like before the hospital came along? Just so
Sure.
we understand.
We had the health fair in the high school, in that big hallway that after you walk in the main doors to the high school. And so there was lots of room, and we had about 30 tables, and that means that each table was some sort of organization who was represented, and anybody who wanted to be represented and offered anything to seniors, even if it was the library delivering books to shut-ins, they were represented there. And then we always had free coffee and donuts or free coffee and cookies. And sometimes some of the seniors from the senior center played one of their games to show people how that went. And then we always offered flu shots, which wasn't the hospital. It was the Visiting Nurses Association who came over from the Cape and did all the flu shots.
Hmm.
So it's much bigger, and everyone felt included. Whereas this year, they told us, you have 9 tables, that's it. Well, that was not really enough. And the downstairs was devoted to people who were not seniors. So that was disappointing. And they were not interested in our opinions. I mean, every time we suggested something, the answer was just no. So, I just thought, we need to do our own thing, and there's so much available to seniors that a lot of people don't even know about. So that was the past. It was at the high school. Jericho has said it may be dicey trying to get the hospital, but there are a few other large rooms, both of the yacht clubs and the VFW are large spaces, so I think we can probably find something.
I would add, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been looking into large spaces, either for COVID or for behavioral health or for some local community building events. And many of them do, I'm not sure how many of them would go for free. Most, even VFW requires some
Right.
money. We have in the past had, like, the school, I think, would be free and open to any town body. And then I think the others would require some funding, which I'll need, depending on how we're granting that. That would be something that I would need to have a little, the difficulty about paying for things. So a decent lead time once we have something set up, and then potentially we would have to get a contract depending on who we work with.
I think we could get some money from NCEA, because they were co-presenters this year with us and last year with us, so I think they would happily fund whatever the cost was of a room. So. Linda, do you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, just to elaborate on it, give you an idea of the scope. We had the entire front hall was lined on both sides of people, half of which came from off island. It talked about insurance. It talked about, they gave away little things, for your refrigerator. They gave away first aid kits. They had the people come over with a lifeline. They had the flu shots in the cafeteria. There were 200 or 300 people that came through there. Plus the parking was good, and the whole front hall was filled out. And we had surveys for people, what they'd like to see, what they worked and what didn't work. We signed everybody in. We had drawings every hour for something, whether it's a $50 gift certificate to Kitties. I rounded that stuff up, or whether it's something else that was very nice for people to do. So they entered their names into the drawings. So there was a lot of positives. The reason why we switched is because we were sort of running up against the hospital back in the day on the same dates or this, overlapping things. And it was a very nice relationship for some years before the pandemic. And why they are being intractable now on the elder, not involving the elderly population or doing it in collaboration with us, which is what we set out to do for several years before this. It's kind of mystifying, but I agree. We should probably go back to ourselves and just focus on the elderly, all the stuff that's available to them, which is huge. Some of them don't even know the Alzheimer's thing is there. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening in the last 3 or 4 years. And a lot of people don't know about that, and we're all getting older, and the baby boomers are now 60 and above, and there's a ton of us here. So there's a lot of reasons to go back to it. I just remember how much work it took to do it, but I'm sure Laura still has the contacts, and between Laura and Jericho, we have the contacts for all the people that might want to come over and be involved locally. So, but it was a tremendous amount of work because we needed to get the tables, we needed to get all kinds of stuff. So if that's the case, we need to sort of stay away from the health fair, which was in October, and do it another time for ourselves that we don't overlap with them. So maybe April, maybe May or something, but we need to really sit down and have a group of us, maybe it's a smaller group, 3 of us or so, to sit down with Laura and Jericho and figure out how to reimagine this and getting it going again. But it was a tremendous amount of work, but it was very rewarding. It only ran from like 9 to 1 or something along those lines. It wasn't all day. So I think we really need to, and the RSV shots and the flu shots and the, You've got the shingle shots. I mean, you've got all kinds of stuff now that is coming into fore that everybody should get. So we need to, if we're gonna do that for next year, we need to start planning it now because it took us quite a while to get the nurses to come over with the shots, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm all in favor of doing it again. It's just, we gotta be prepared that everybody has to be involved.
Yeah. Thanks, Linda. Arlene, did you have your hand up?
I was looking to put my hand up, but thank you. Oh, there it is. I have my literal hand up, yes. Linda, thank you for that. I think I agree with Linda. I think that this is a worthy project and it would be an excellent service to our elderly population. And I did just turn 60. So I know all of my friends are like right in tow with me, and it is going to be quite an explosion of the 60 and up population on Nantucket. My question is, Jericho, would we be able to, in writing the grants for funding for this kind of event, would we be able to dovetail some of the funds to actually hire an event manager so that, because I feel like these kinds of events, and I know that all of us are very passionate and we would get behind it, of course, but the success of them is often somebody who is a paid employee that is managing it and, you know, doing all the necessary things that need to happen, which is why the hospital, you know, they have a huge staff and they are designed to do these kinds of things. So I agree with Linda again that we should get together and have a brainstorming / strategy session as to how this would roll out. But we're going to need to hire people to help do this happen if it's going to be successful, in my opinion.
So 2 things on that. One is about the Visiting Nurses Association. We currently have a contract, we being the Health and Human Services Department, to do community health nursing. Part of that contract could be helping us do flu and other vaccine clinics at an elder affairs or an elder expo of some sort or another. So that is something that has changed in the intervening years. That means we will probably be able to have that wrapped up in our budget, in the operating budget of the Health and Human Services Department. And 2, to Arlene's point about grants, absolutely. The only thing is that this particular body cannot accept a grant from the town, as it would be the town giving itself money. What would need to happen is there would need to be a 501c that would write a grant proposal to request grant funding. Linda, this would be a CRC grant, yeah?
There's a couple ways to go with that. We can go under the Community Foundation 501c3 because they do a lot of this stuff for groups like this that don't have their own 501c3. So that's one way to do it, is go through the Community Foundation. CRC funding is too late for this year. We haven't even put it out yet, actually.
No,
Maybe
but it would be different in some respects to other contract review committee grants. Typically, the contract review committee is things like Fairwind, sliding scale, et cetera, et cetera. This would be for a single event instead of a full year's worth of service delivery. So while it would be a low bid, as it were, it's substantially different, and you couldn't be guaranteed of receiving that money until so you would apply, assuming that you got a grant application together in time for the current cycle. No funds could be released for this grant until July 1st of the start of the next fiscal year. Right. You have to be sent to a 501c company, and they would only be reimbursed for expenses. They would not be, you couldn't pay ahead of time for any of this. What could happen, the community fund is a very good resource on this. NCEA could submit a grant request to the town. They are an independent body. They are a 501c. They could then select a subcontractor that would be paid directly from NCEA. And it would be underneath the town's grant process in a way that The handyman and gift card ones are not, so it would be a more straightforward
Smoother,
process,
yeah.
nominally anyway.
Or they give the money to the foundation, community foundation, and then they disperse it. I think that's probably the easiest and the quickest way to go. If we
But
want to.
also the NCEA, that's part of their mission.
Yep.
You know, exactly what we're talking about, and I think that, it would be worth having a discussion with them.
Yep.
Because that is what their mission is. Their mission is for elder services. So I think they would probably be willing, I mean, if partner with us, in that sense. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Because
They did in
I'd
the
be
past,
happy.
Arlene. They did in the past. They've been
They
involved.
did?
And we've done an elder expo, they've been involved.
Okay,
They paid whatever expenses we had, which were
Yeah.
modest, mostly
Yeah.
publicity, and free coffee and cookies or donuts. I'm wondering if our next meeting, we could devote to this subject only and invite NCEA to participate with us.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea.
That would-
We
Okay.
can also
So-
reach out to the community fund. They have an elders, they have a periodic elder
Right.
issues meeting that they're doing. This could be a great example for them to participate.
Okay, so
while they're
invite
in that.
Sunny Daly or whoever she wants to
Yeah, a
send.
designate.
I
Okay.
agree. I mean, on both accounts, both of those groups, what we're talking about is music to their ears. So.
And the sooner
I
the
think-
better, because
Yeah.
it takes a while to actually set all this up, get the boats. I can always approach the Steamship Authority or the High Line to see if we can get discounts for the guys coming over here. You know, that kind of stuff, because they do it for my volleyball tournament for the food pantry. I can't imagine they wouldn't do it for this, so. As long as we know enough in advance, we have a date, we have a location, we can go for that.
Agreed.
So shall I reach out to, how do we want to handle reaching out? I can email both of them, or you might talk to NCEA more frequently than I do. I have a meeting with John coming up. I can also mention
Yeah,
it.
you should talk about it to him
Yeah.
as well. Okay, so, I want to make sure anybody else who wants to weigh in on this can do it, but, essentially, our next meeting will be devoted solely to the subject of the Elder Expo next year. And we'll, come up with all of our major decisions about how we will move ahead, to produce that, if that's okay with everybody. And I will invite, NCEA to participate, John Copenhaver, their president, and anybody else he would like to have there. And I'll reach out also to Sunny Daly and anybody she would also like to have there. So we'll have an extended group of people who will be involved, but that will be the sole subject of our next meeting.
Right.
Elder
Sounds good.
Sounds
Next
good.
But
Sounds
if
great.
there's anybody else who has not had a chance to either state your opinion or ask questions, now's a good time.
You need any kind of motion,
I don't think we
No.
have a motion here because we're not making any final decisions.
And then agenda writing doesn't necessarily require a motion, so. Okay.
Okay, great. That will be the sole subject of our next meeting. Thank you, everybody, for that. It was very helpful. Next on our agenda is Robert Kucharvi to talk about two subjects. So
which one would
please
you like
update
first?
us. Your observations from the NHA is a good start.
Well, we have launched year 3 of the On the Road program. We've made the full cycle for October. And the subject and the artifacts all had to do with the oldest house in honor of the 100th anniversary of NHA acquiring the ownership of the oldest house. Next week, we launch the November program, and it is a decorative arts craft type thing that will go out to the 5 sites that we service every month. And then in December, we will be doing tours for the seniors of the Festival of Trees. And then coming up, we are also in talks with the Athenaeum and Nantucket Preservation Trust, as well as Mariah Mitchell, to collaborate with them on programs next year. So that's pretty much where we're at. happy to answer any questions about the program.
It's a great program. And I've been to one of those at the senior center, and some of these people bring in their their family photo albums. And it's just great because of course, if they're multi-generations on this island, they can relate to all this history. So they add to the whole mix.
Well, and that's the whole idea, is to
Yeah.
get the involvement and conversation going.
Have you reached, or have you spoken at all with, the community school in Sherburne Commons? They're doing a monthly memory cafe program. Have you,
We go already to Sherburne Commons.
this would be a special.
This is a special thing on their schedule.
Okay, I know that they're looking so like the memory cafes will have a different theme each month, and they would do a lot of things designed to bring up.
Rachel has the whole schedule for the year.
Okay.
The dates are all mapped out, so we have a master calendar that gives you the day and the week every month, so to speak, of where we're going to be, so that they can publicize it in their calendars, and we provide them posters and things to put into their calendars, and then bulletin boards. And then we also know how to staff it, because we know every month where we're going to be and how many people we need.
Awesome, thank you.
Any questions or comments for Bob? Okay, sorry, Robert. I'm gonna have to get used to this.
So does everybody else.
My husband did the same thing and I finally said, I give up. I'm gonna call you what I always called you. Anyway, Robert is our representative on the board of Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands. So we can get regular updates on what the larger picture looks like, not just Nantucket, but the Vineyard and all of the towns on the Cape as well. So please give us an update.
The biggest topic at last week's meeting is the budget, because the vendors, especially for the Meals on Wheels, have been asking for increases of anywhere from 20 to 40%. And this has, of course, caused a huge gap in the Elder Services budget making process. They are ramping up the annual drive to see if some of this can be covered. And they are also working with the vendors to see if they can negotiate someplace down, especially the ones that were wanting 40%, and bring them at least to a 20% type thing. But it was a real reality type discussion of the expenses are just going up. You cannot, because it's a federal program, you cannot ask people to pay for the meals. You can ask for a donation. But so that's the big thing that's going on right now, is how we're going to cover the gap in the budget and keep all these programs going. So that was the big topic of just about the whole meeting last week.
Does anybody want to comment on that or question it?
I can just add that from discussions on food security, not necessarily Meals on Wheels, that there has been a significant increase in costs and shortfall of budgets in almost all food related, like food provision services and human services. So it is a significant issue caused by a combination of market forces and then just inflation, cost of living adjustments.
Which is totally out of our hands.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we're still paying $5 a gallon for gas, they're gonna ram it, bringing food over here. Because I was in New Jersey and it was down as $3.29 a gallon. It's only $3.59 on the Cape. So, we're getting pretty whacked over here with food costs and everything else. And, you know, he can't be running at a deficit on that Meals on Wheels. He has to cover his costs at least. They're having to pay staff more actually over there on the meals issue. They're having to pay staff more to keep them because they all lost staff.
Yeah, that's another big.
The good news is Sherry Hunt has hired 2 people though, so we're fully staffed here.
Right.
And I believe the Meals on Wheels program is back in full effect.
It's back in full
Or the-
effect,
the,
yes.
Congregate lunch.
The congregate lunches are back in full steam. Or what was your term?
Underway.
Underway? No,
Maybe
it's something
no.
else you said.
Like I said, I'm just a bucket full of obscure, like weird phrasing. I don't know quite what it is. And it's the weather season change, but
Any other comments, for Bob? Thank you. Sorry, Robert. At least you're not married to me, that's. Jericho, we are looking forward to a report from you.
I will keep it relatively brief. One is I'll say that, for the record now, Laura is out and will not be able to update us this month on salt marsh activities. From me, my updates are in three major buckets. The first is COVID, just because, that's part of that's just what I do at this point. We have two more scheduled clinics for this year. November 4th and November 18th. There should be more appointments for both of them, but November 18th will not show up on the sign up site until November 4th is full. If you are looking for a COVID vaccine, please check nantucket-ma.gov/vaccine. There is a sign up link in a purple box there. The total number of vaccines administered on the island through the state vaccination plan will be probably around 1,000, but there are primary care physician appointments. We have been informed that the hospital will be running vaccine clinics, both as part of their regular services and then I think periodically with signups. Dan's, I believe, also has intermittent availability. Their ordering is, I think they can order now, but the deliveries are staggered. So there are a variety of different, and also all of the COVID vaccines offered through the state plan we have can also have a flu vaccine. So if you are in need of a flu vaccine, that is another place you can get it. I'm happy to say I think this is the best flu vaccine availability in this time of year that I've seen since I've been here, in terms of total doses and variety of locations. Second is the second category is what I've been up to for the last 6 months. Well, not 6 months, but what are we at? 3 months since the last one of these?
3 months.
July was our last
July,
one.
yeah.
So in the last couple of months, I've been working on getting some behavioral health programming together. We are offering what is called QPR, which is question, persuade, and refer. It's a mental health first aid training that is 90 minutes. We are offering at least one educational session per month until the beginning of spring. Basically, QPR is, the idea was they were going for something like CPR, but for mental health issues. So it is a way to ask people a question, Q, how are you feeling when you notice signs of behavioral health crisis? Persuade people to reach out and get assistance when they are in a crisis or pre-crisis situation, and then refer people to either existing behavioral health resources or to emergency or crisis, pre-crisis sites like the mental health hotline or the crisis line here on Nantucket. I am working to get that incorporated into the normal budgetary and official responsibilities of Health and Human Service, with an eye to treating behavioral health issues on Nantucket as a public health crisis in the same way that ticks and sunburn and skin cancer is. So I think we're going to be offering that on a regular basis to the public. We're also looking into bringing it to people or groups who need it or who do not have easy access to public trainings. We're going to try bringing it to different employers. We're going to try bringing it to the Interfaith Council, to clergy and lay people, both who are members of the board or those who are volunteers for various faith organizations. And then we're going to try and build a, hopefully before next winter, we'll have a sort of public campaign identifying people who have gone through this training as maybe with a paperclip or a badge or a button of some sort, so that people know that they can reach out to people in public. It's one of the kind of big lessons from behavioral health prevention, is that knowing there are people helping, even if you don't need help, prevents you from needing help. And that being available to help other people reduces incidence rates of behavioral health crisis in people who go through trainings. The third is that we are about to start the 2 grant processes for this year. The contract review committee, which is all human services funding. Elder Services comes for a grant for that for each year to assist in their Meals on Wheels. And a variety of other organizations on the island who deliver human services do as well. There's also the substance misuse fund, formerly known as the Cannabis Grant, which is specifically targeted to anyone who is any program offering support for substance misuse or addiction. And I think that's basically it for me. They don't have any questions on anything.
No, it sounds
Yeah.
like you're doing a really good job.
Substantial.
There's
Seems to be,
a lot going on.
That's a lot going, I know, it's a crisis, there's still a stigma about depression and those things. It's not like you break a leg and you get to go to the hospital, it's. when
I
it comes-
know that speaking of the hospital, that they had a significant enough increase in necessary beds for behavioral health issues over the summer, that it was identified as a real problem. And that typically behavioral health crises in the Northern Hemisphere will start to accelerate in the fall and winter seasons. So that is a concern, at least locally, and one that I think we all should be paying really close attention to here.
Well, it's a good, outreach to, that where they have a badge on, so if they're anywhere in the.
The ideal use here is there was a domestic violence awareness campaign that would identify people who had gone through certain trainings by wearing just a paper clip, like the old school clip paper clips, that would make them identify them in a subtle way as a safe reporter or a safe person to connect people to additional resources. Obviously, designing and running a whole one of those campaigns is over my head, but I hope to be building the system to help that come out over the course of the fall, over the course of the spring and summer. But yeah, it would be basically, we used to have, in high school, I was in peers promoting AIDS awareness. We had specific, those red ribbons, which were to drive AIDS awareness. So something similar along those lines.
Thank you, Jericho. Anybody else have comments, questions for Jericho? Okay, the last, since Laura's not here, I'm gonna move to the last thing on our agenda, which is the status of grants that the Council on Aging is involved in. So let me start with the one that we have just completed, so you'll never hear about this from me again. I know I'm just sounding like a broken record. But these were the home modifications, the grab bars and railings that were both internal and external. I'm just gonna wrap it up by telling you, we completed 18 seniors' homes. Sometimes they had a spouse or a partner, so we actually reached more seniors than 18, but we did 18 homes. Last year, we had a grant, it was a 2-year grant, each year was for $7,500. And last year, we spent $4,700 of that grant, so there's money left over, which we put back into the pot for some other town on the Cape to use for something else. And the results of the survey of people who were recipients were so spectacular. Everybody was very, very delighted. So it turned out that we had 4 really super handy men who related to seniors very well. And the grant grantor suggested that we give each of them $100 gift certificate to Stop and Shop. And one of these days Jericho's gonna squeeze those gift certificates out of the town of Nantucket.
That's great news. My daughter's a physical therapist
Ah.
with visiting nurses, and, she says that the grab bars, if there's one thing she could say for elders is to get your grab bars installed, and maybe in the fair that we're
Hmm.
getting together, we could have a table where there is either a volunteer carpenter, or I guess we already have some names, where we could, sort of move to get more people to get grab bars, because
That's a
balls
great
are
idea.
I just had a fall. Balls
A great idea.
are the number one elderly.
Well, and I'm still getting phone calls requesting, even though we've ended the program and the grant is done. I still get requests from people, so you're right, Abby, it's definitely needed on this island. And it doesn't have to be done every week, it's just every once in a while, there's another senior who needs a grab bar, and
I would
It would-
say but even though we have leftover money from that, I would probably go for another grant.
we gave the money back so that
Oh, you
somebody
gave
else
that,
could use
so we
it.
have to do it
There's-
again. We
Yes,
have to
we'd have to.
Well, just so
submit.
you guys know, Laura is now in the office, but just so you guys know, I can always, if somebody needs a grab bar, just let me know and I will have one of my guys do it.
Oh, that's wonderful news. I
Okay?
will tell somebody about that right away.
Yeah, tell them
Okay.
to contact me and I'll have one of my contractors do it. Just do it.
Oh, great. Thank you.
All over the house.
Perfect. Now, as far as grants go, I want everybody to know that we, the Council on Aging, are applying for 3 grants next week. Because the Massachusetts Councils on Aging are offering grants in 8 different categories. And we have chosen 3 categories, so all of us are applying, and we are doing it in collaboration with other organizations. So the first one is we're collaborating with the community school on these memory cafes. I don't know if you've seen the posters everywhere for the new memory cafes. But Brian Lenane at the community school is actually doing all the work and writing the grant application for that one. And we're asking for the greatest amount of money they're offering for that is $5,000. We're asking for $5,000. So that's the Council on Aging and the community school. And I should say, they really encourage people to collaborate, so it's good that we're collaborating. The other 2 grants, we're collaborating with the NCEA, the Center for Elder Affairs, which is a 501c3. So John Copenhaver, who's their president, and I have been working on 2 grants. One of them is for what they call Senior Center Modernization. The grants are up to $25,000. And we are asking for some equipment for the Salt Marsh Center, because their Monday movies have been so successful, but their equipment for showing them is so out of date. It would be nice to have up to the minute TV screens, and I don't even know what the rest of the equipment is called. And then we're asking for some money for other social programs that are going on there that have been going on. So John has done most of the work on that one. And the last one is called Provision of Transportation Services to Support Older Adults. In this case, I'm doing most of the writing of this grant application, and we're just going to ask to reimburse taxi fares or car service fares if somebody goes off island and needs to hire a limousine to get to Boston for medical services and they can't get money from another organization. We're asking to be able to reimburse people for that, or people who have to go to Cape Cod Hospital, or to a doctor over there. So we're just asking to be able to reimburse people for spending their own money to get someplace when they're seniors. And I know that there are there's transportation available for seniors here, but you have to call in 24 hours in advance. You have to make sure you cancel if you need to cancel. Whereas this is just call a taxi, pay the taxi, give NCEA your receipt, and NCEA will reimburse you quickly. And then the town will take its time reimbursing NCEA, which won't matter too much. So, we're giving the town its, the position it should have. So they can take all the time they want to pay back. So I don't know if anybody has questions about that, but I'm glad that the Council on Aging is being active. Even if we don't get these grants, at least we're getting used to asking for money when it's available and we can use it.
How is the memory cafe going?
They've had one session so far. It was quite well attended. Full disclosure, my mom gave the speech for it. She was really influential in trying to get a memory cafe up and running back in the day before COVID. And they have got it up and running at Sherburne Commons. It was well attended, and it looks to be continuing on a monthly basis with different activities and different, hopefully, a continually changing group of people coming in. But she was ecstatic about it. And Brian Lane also was happy with it for a first session. Hopefully they'll have an increase. The clientele, a lot of people are thinking of it as being something for people with memory issues or with diagnoses. It's not, it's for any kind of, it's as much for caregivers and for caregivers and people without memory issues as it is for people with, a diagnosis of some sort. So good so far, and hopefully we'll continue to expand.
We've come to the end of the planned agenda, but I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments you want to make at this time before we close the meeting. Jericho.
Sorry, I just want to say the dates and times for all of these trainings and vaccine clinics. The 4th and the 18th of November will be clinic from 9 to 2 at the elementary school cafeteria off Bacchus Way. There will be a QPR training open to anyone, but advertised primarily to youth-facing professionals or anyone who works with the youth at our house on November 9th. I believe the time is 4. And then we will have 2 QPR classes on November the 13th at 10 to 11:30 and then 12 to 1:30. Signups for that can come to me. My email, jmele@nantucket-ma.gov. And that's all.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Robert. Does anyone second that?
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Linda. I'm gonna have to go down this list again. Abby,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Arlene,
Yes.
Jude. I'm gonna assume yes, Linda.
Yes, great meeting, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you. It's nice to see everybody back here.
And
Thank you
then
for coming.
next
Hey,
month,
everybody, have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you in December.
Oh, yeah. And then stroll, yay.
Yay.
and don't forget 3 p.m. next month.
Oh, really? It's done, is that done deal?
It's
Just that
done and done. I
fast?
just got the email confirmation.
Oh,
So we're good to go.
All right
Good.
then.
See everyone in a month.
Bye.